Hey, this is Derek, and now we're going to be talking about my favorite part of the Leadflow system, and that's our AI technology. We created an industry-leading organic genetic algorithm with one goal: to produce properties that have a higher than average propensity to sell. We like to call it our Sellability Index. I'm going to jump in right now and show you how you can use this powerful data to refine your audiences. Now we're going to focus on these three scores right here, as well as these lead flow values that correspond with our AI scores. Now, I know that I've talked a little bit about AI when we went through creating and updating our super lists, but now we're going to talk in a little bit more depth about what these data points are, how we got them, and why you should be letting them do the driving when it comes to creating your lists. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and drop into our filters, and I can explain these three scores. So first up is our retail score. Retail is a bit of a misleading term, and for a lot of our investors, they shy away from this score thinking that they need to be able to list the property with an agent or a broker. That is not the case. The reason that we call this our retail score is because just like the vast majority of properties in the US, they're going to sell retail. So there is a lot of opportunity with this score. Our retail score is a holistic score that identifies a property's propensity to sell within 90 days for any reason at all. We are not taking into account specific pain points that may identify a distressed seller, and we are not explicitly saying that these are retail listings. All this score does is identify whether or not a property has holistically reached the threshold to have a higher than average propensity to sell within the next 90 days. Our rental score is our next one, and this is one of our more popular scores because it has the highest lead to deal ratio. And I think that makes sense because our rental score, or what I like to call our investor score, are properties that have a higher than average propensity to sell within 90 days and be purchased by you as a turnkey rental property. Now, I think it makes sense that a lot of these people are other investors, hence why I like to call it my investor score, because that's a big indicator of a current rental property. So you're gonna be dealing with people in your industry. There's gonna be a lot of exit strategies, and that's why we see that very high lead to deal ratio. So again, a score that you may have shied away from just because of the naming convention, but has a lot of power to it. Last but not least, we have our wholesale score. Our wholesale score is propensity to sell at a discounted rate in the next 90 days. What's our discounted rate? A discounted rate is anything 35% or more off of the retail value. We assign our AI coverage by zip codes. And if you see this below your search bar, you have credits in order to redeem. Now, I've already walked through the process of redeeming those credits by clicking on that link and then adding your zip code or city to your cart, which in turn will activate this. And if you forgot which zip codes you have or you'd like to reevaluate, you can always reach out to our support team here. So one of the biggest questions that I get is, should I use all of the scores? And the simple answer here is no. So we want to focus on one score at a time, because when we're setting a minimum, let's say 500 again, because that is the middle of the road. So anything higher than that 500 is going to have a higher than average propensity to sell, whereas anything lower is going to have a less than likely chance within that 90 days. So again, when I say that, I typically have people asking if I should set 500 as the minimum for all three of them. And yes, that would work, but you're going to lose some opportunities, and I'll show you why right now. So if I'm going to select 501 as my minimum for my retail score, I'm going to end up with 2,100 results. And typically I get lucky when I do this, and we'll see. Awesome. I did this time too. So if we were to set all three of the scores to 500 as a minimum, we would not see this opportunity. So while this is a good wholesale opportunity and a good retail opportunity, because this rental score is just at 239, we would not see it in this search. So that's why I said you can do it. You're going to have a list because there are ones that have higher than 500 in all three, as you can see from this one below. You're going to miss out on some opportunities. So we really do want to focus just on one at a time. So again, we're looking at 500 or above here in Medina. And I also wanted to show you how we can start to kind of utilize a little bit more than what we talked about in the last video, but the lead types in conjunction with that AI data. So let's go ahead, let's click back into our search bar here. And this is where we can start to add on lead types to our base of likely to sell within 90 days. The first question that I always get when I start to jump into this section is, should I focus on the leads or the lead types first? It's a very simple question. It's focusing on the scores. The scores have a lot of baked in data, so much so that it would be impossible for me to tell you all of the various factors that go into these scores. But a lot of those are taken into account. So a lot of our lead types are taken into account when we build that list. And truthfully, the goal with our data is to become so actionable and so refined that the only time you would ever need to add on a lead type, such as absentee owners, is as if you wanted to tailor a marketing piece directly to absentee owners. So again, that's making your marketing much more relevant. It's going to make your audience even smaller than the AI driven one, which is going to obviously segment those people who actually have a higher than average propensity to sell from those who are not worth marketing to. So let's go ahead and just show you how these numbers change. So we're sitting at 2,100 with just our data, with our AI data, and I'm going to add that absentee owners there. So you can see that that brought me down to 287 properties. So again, my goal here is to show you how you can utilize the AI data to either build your list in its entirety. And if you wanted to do this same process, by which I mean taking a 2,000 list here and then getting it down to that 200, we can do that just with our AI. Let's go back over to our AI filters and let's move this up to let's go crazy and go to 800. That's 29 results. So as you can see, we do have the ability to get as small and as granular of an audience as we need just with our AI data. But if you want to go that extra level and start layering on some of our lead types, that's where you're going to get the added benefit of tailoring your marketing material exactly to their pain point, which in this case is absentee owners. So I did want to reference a little bit more those numbers that we showed underneath our AI scores. These are, and I know I've talked about this before, but these are our actual lead flow values. So we see a retail value on this property at roughly $275,506. If you're looking for a rental range, it's $1,800 to $2,200, and our wholesale price, again, 35% off of the retail, is $179.79. So one of the other things that I'm always looking at, and I mentioned this with regards to looking at the other lead types that are populating on your ideal list, but to also look at different things like the rental score. So is that rental range where you want to be? Are you comfortable with all of these numbers? We really try to give you as much powerful, actionable data as we can inside the system in order to move forward. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take these 29 people and I'm going to add them to the My Lead section. At Leadflow, our goal is to make hyper-focused marketing audiences that you can use to drive not just better leads, but better deals.